I'd like to draw your attention now as we talk about a new concept, sorting a list. I'd like to draw your attention into our agenda in Slack. And there's some notes about sorting lists. So before we get into it, what do we mean by sorting a list? If we have numbers like 1, 8, 10, 4, 99, and 7, as you can imagine, we just want to kind of put these in order. And we could sort them ascending or descending. So I guess in spreadsheet software, maybe we could like sort the range ascending. All right, great. Or maybe we could sort that list of numbers in descending order. So when we sort in Python, and when we have a simple list of just numbers or strings, it will be very easy for us to do this sorting operation. We'll use a function called sorted. So let's talk now about how to sort in Python. It depends on what type of object we have in our list. Here's what I mean by this. I'm going to jump over into our in-class cheat sheet to make some new notes there about sorting lists. So last class, we created some new notes about container data types, specifically the list, and also the dictionary. And we talked about how to access items and do looping, lots of good stuff from last class. Eventually I'll get down to dictionary. Okay, great. So now let's add some more sections about list operations. I'm just going to add some content to the bottom. A new section about, list operations. We'll talk about sorting first. We'll learn that the approach that we need to take to sort differs slightly depending on what our list looks like. After we do sorting, in a few minutes, we're going to come back and do mapping. In other words, transformation operation. And then if we have time, we'll also cover filtering, i.e. selecting a subset of items, but we'll talk about each one of these operations in more detail as we go through. So the thing you should know about sorting a list is it depends on what type of objects are in our list. Let's start with some basic lists, like list of letters. Letters equals a list like A, comma, Z, comma, G, I don't know, your own letters here in various order. Sure, we can print the letters. And if we want to sort the letters, we'll actually just pass that list variable letters into a built-in function called sorted. So we know with list, if we want to count the number of items, we could pass that list into the len function, which is a built-in function. If we want to sort them, we'll pass that list into the sorted function. And we see we're able to sort those. I believe this is not a mutating operation though. If we print the letters again, they'll be in their original order. So this is not mutating. And so we may have to store this sorted version of our list in some new variable if we want to reference that sorted version of our list later. It doesn't change the underlying list in place. It doesn't change our letters variable. It allows us to store it back in another variable later. So what we'll have to do is say like sorted letters, for example, or some other variable name equals us passing the letters into the sorted function. And then when we print sorted letters, now we'll have access to the real sorted version of our list. Some of these things are mutating, some of them are not. Mutating, it means, are we changing the underlying variable in place or not? All right. So if our list is simple, if it's just a list of strings, They could be whole words or multiple words, but strings. Python knows how to sort those. Same goes for numbers. Like if we have some nums equals 5, 100, 87, 45. We can also pass numbers into the sorted function. All right. So now we learn this new built-in function in Python called sorted. We can pass a list in, it will sort the list. So far, all of these sorting operations are in ascending order. We looked at in spreadsheet how we could either sort ascending or descending. So how do we implement sorting descending? Does anyone know? Using this sorted function? If we want to learn more about the capabilities of this sorted function, where should we look? Thoughts? We can always refer to the official docs. Let's do a quick search for Python sorted function. We remember that in Python, they have a list of all of the built-in functions. Let's see. Python built-in functions. We've taken a look at this page multiple times as we got introduced to functions like print and type and data type conversion stuff like str. But hey, here's also this sorted function. And so if we want to learn more about what parameters does this sorted function accept, we should check out the docs. So let's take a look. It looks like there are some parameters that we could pass to this sorted function. The parameter, like the list that we pass in, I guess we'll pass it in first, and it's a parameter called iterable. Okay, whatever. We pass in a list. We just saw how we could do that. But now there's two other parameters here, optional. One is called key, and we'll work with it in a sec. If our list is complex and Python doesn't know how to sort our list, we'll have to use this key parameter to give it more details about, well, how do we want to sort it? We'll take a look at this in a sec with our teams variable. But the other parameter here, I guess, is called reverse. And by default, the value is false. So I guess by default, we do an ascending sort. All right. Knowing what we just learned from the docs and how this sorted function can take a parameter called reverse, which can be a Boolean value, how could we sort our numbers or letters in descending order? Any guesses? Yes, we will pass additional parameters to the sorted function. Specifically, the parameter was called reverse. And now we say reverse equals either true or false. Let's see false here. Or sorry, false. I think false is by default, and that will give us our default sorting order. Alternatively, we could say reverse equals true, and that's going to descend. So we'll pass in our list and then give it some more options like reverse equals true. This is what's going to sort in descending order. So now we see 100. Now we see our numbers are descending. So we're just exploring various parameters that we could pass to the sorted function. All right, cool. So that's how we'll sort a simple list, like lists of letters. List of strings or numbers. As you can imagine, what Python is doing is it's like comparing each item in the list and asking, well, what is greater than what? So in alphanumeric, we know like what the order of our ABCs are, and so does Python. And that's how it sorts these letters. It knows which letters come first. Same goes with the numbers. We know what numbers are greater or less than others, and so does Python. So it knows how to sort these lists of numbers, and that's all good. So far, we're just using the sorted function. and passing in our list, and maybe optionally reversing or putting it in descending order. But what if we now have this more complicated list, sorting more complex lists, like a list of dictionaries? Whenever you have a list of dictionaries, which you'll see very commonly in the midterm challenges and like the homework challenges that I give you, if we have a list of dictionaries, there's an additional parameter of the sorted function that we'll need to use. So I shared in our agenda a variable called teams. Let's use that variable and let's try to sort these teams on the basis of their city. So here we have a list of dictionaries. Can we print our teams? All right, great. Quick recap. How many items are in this list of teams? Love a volunteer. You can shout it out. 4, right. Each item in this list of teams is what data type? Dictionary, right. Each item is a dictionary. They all have the same keys. What keys does each item have? Follow, go for it. City. City is one of the keys. What's the other key that each dictionary has? Name, exactly. So we first have to examine the structure of whatever object we're working with. Here we know teams is a list. Oh, we can sort any list. Okay, great. Although this teams list is a list of dictionaries, so we need to work with it in a little more nuanced way. What would happen if we just said, all right, sorted, pass our teams in? Remember, when we had a simple list, we can just pass it into the sorted function. Is this going to work? Let's see. No. Python is like, hey, I know how to use like the greater than or less than operator in my sorting operation, but I don't know how to apply that operator to a whole dictionary. Like which one, like, I don't know, which one should come first? Python is just saying like, you haven't told me how you want to sort these complex objects. So it's like, oops, no, we can't do that. So I'm going to introduce you to the method we can use to sort a list of dictionaries. We're going to need to leverage a function from a module. So we can't just sort those teams without specifying more details. Instead, what we're going to have to do is import from the operator module. We'll import the itemgetter function. What does this function do? You should just know that whenever you need to sort a list of dictionaries, let's go reach for this itemgetter function. It's just a helper function that's going to help us sort. And we could use it almost as boilerplate in the following way. So I'm sharing with you a pattern and maybe make a note about it and reference this in the future. So Python is like, hey, I don't know how to sort those list of dictionaries. So we'll have to say, all right, we want to use the sorted function. We want to sort our list of teams. Previously, we saw that there's other parameters that the sorted function can take. We use the reverse parameter, but there's also this weird key parameter. And you could think of this key parameter as saying like, well, which key do you want to sort on? Something like that. So what we're going to do is pass the teams into the sorted function, comma. Now we'll specify what the key parameter should be. Key equals. And now we'll use the itemgetter function and invoke it with some parentheses. The itemgetter function is saying, okay, for each of these items in this list, which key do we want to sort on? So if we want to sort by city, we'll say itemgetter city. It's a weird thing, but this is a simple pattern that I hope that you could just make a note of and then return to it later. Cool. We sorted by city. So we have Boston first. And remember, this is not mutating. So if we wanted to store the sorted version of the list, For use later, we'll have to store it as like sorted teams or something like that. All right, cool. Sorting by city. And we just have to make use of this weird item getter function that comes from the operator module. So this is how we could sort by city. Follow up. Right now, our items are sorted by city in ascending order. How can we reverse them or flip them so that we are sorting by city in descending order? Quick follow-up. Right. Yep, here, let's also leverage that other parameter of the sorted function, reverse. Reverse equals true will give us these in descending order. Cool. All right. What if we wanted to sort these items by name? Thoughts? How can we do that? Exactly. Yep. So, hey, if we want to sort by name, we'll just put that inside the item getter. Cool. All right, final iteration here. When we sort by city, let's take a look. When we were sorting by city, we saw that like New York, there's 2 teams from New York. What if we also want to sort by, like after separating New York, we also want to sort by name. It's almost like we want to sort by city, then name. How can we do that? What you should know is that this key parameter takes either the item getter function, or we can write our own function to specify how to sort. So this is like the most advanced version of sorting that I'll show you. If we want to sort by city, then name, for example, to make sure Yankees is last and Mets is second to last, we're going to need to use our own function. So we'll define our own function. By the way, I'm just repeating these imports, but if you had done this import once, you only need it once. I'm just kind of giving you a complete example each time. If we want to sort by city, then name, ascending, we'll create our own function. I'll just call it like sort by city and name. I don't know, bad function name there. And our function will take in each specific item. Here referencing a single item in our list, a single dictionary. And so we'll return how we want it to sort. So what we could do is do like a format string here, like we'll take our item, or we might as well just use string concat, item, city, and then maybe concatenate it with the item, maybe a separator of some kind, and then the item name. So if we sort on this basis of this conjoined like version of the city and name, now I guess I'll call this our custom sort function. We could say key equals our custom sort function, and that will get us, I think, the results we want. So the final kind of iteration of this is that we can always define our own function and pass that to the key parameter and specify how we want to sort each item in the list. You won't have to do this very often. In the questions that I give you for the midterm, it'll only be asking you to sort on one of the keys. So you can just reach for one of these. And so when you sort Taylor Swift's tracks, you could sort them on the basis of their popularity score, descending, for example. All right, that was sorting. We took a while on sorting, but it's all good. We have enough time next class to talk more about these other operations. All right, I just did so many sorting examples. I shared some of that code in Slack. You always have access to our in-class cheat sheet that I'm sharing with you if you want to reference some of these examples. Also, these examples are in the notes about sorting as well. So we just did sorting. Questions about sorting before we try to implement what we just learned back in the groceries exercise? All right, let's try it out. We learned how to sort not only simple lists like lists of numbers, lists of strings. If we have a simple list, all we need to do is pass that list into the sorted function. We're done. However, if our list is more complex, like a list of dictionaries, we'll need to specify, well, on the basis of which key should we sort these items? And that's when we need this weird item getter function. So we'll say, hey, sort these teams on the basis of their city. That's kind of how we do that. All right, so now let's put this into practice back in our groceries exercise. So